Hi everyone, in this lecture we are going to talk about the align items property. Now the align items property, it works in the different or opposite axis. It works on the opposite axis of the main axis. So first off, let's go ahead and let's grab our UL. Let's initiate the flex context. So when we initiate the flex context, the default direction of the flex container, keep in mind, the default direction of the flex container is row or horizontal. Therefore, the main axis is going to be horizontal. Wherever the default direction lies, however it lies, the main axis is going to be in the same alignment. So if flex direction is row, main axis is row. If flex direction is column, main axis is column. But the cross axis is different. It is perpendicular to the main axis. So when the flex direction is row, main axis is row, so the cross axis is actually vertical. Therefore, align items, it works only on the cross axis. If the flex direction is column, main axis is column, but in that case, the cross axis is going to be row or horizontal. So before actually writing the align items, because align items in this case, in this specific case, works in the vertical axis, and we don't have enough height for our container, we could take a look at that, and this is a good time to take a look at the developer tools for Firefox. It's really comprehensive and really well. For CSS, we have two different areas. We have this for the elements, and this is for layouting, and also here is the computed values. Very cool. So if we take a look at this flex, and now you can see that it says flex container here, and if you click on this, it is going to activate the flex container, where the flex container lies and what is the space that it occupies. We know by default flex containers are block level elements. That's why it is occupying the entire space. And it even tells you what are the flex items. All these 5 are the flex items. Here are they. And these are the different values for them. And we already have 2 properties set. With the first one is the row. Let me just zoom in a little bit, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit more than this, and there we go. So now it should be readable better. So you can see it says row. This is the flex direction, which is applied by default, and this is no wrap. This is the flex wrap, which is applied by default. So this is what we are going to have by default. All right, let's come in here. Now, because we don't have enough height for our container, you can see that the UL has a height of 58.4. We need to create some more height. So I'm going to say height is equal to 100 VH. We know 100 VH is 100 times 100% of the viewport height. It is a very flexible unit. Let's save that. And now it is taking as much space as is possible, as there is. So this is 100 viewport height. There we go. So now we have this. So we need to have 100 viewport height to be able to understand. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I believe this is still visible, these 2 values. We need 100 viewport height because we are working in the vertical alignment, and we need to have enough space to move around our items so we can assess how align items actually works. So align items, as with justify content, it has a default value, and that is stretch. So by default, all of the flex items, they're going to be set to stretch. Now, for the purposes of this lecture, what I could do is I could make this window smaller because we're working in the vertical axis, and I could just bring this down. I could just go ahead and get rid of it. So by default, there's stretch. You can see they're stretching to take up the entire space available by their container, made available by their container. Now let's take a look at another example of align items. We could set it to flex start. Flex start works in the same way as with main axis, the same way as with cross axis. So it is going to grab all the elements, move them collectively to the start of the cross axis. When the cross axis is vertical, the start is top and the end is bottom. Let's save that. So you can see all the items no longer they have the stretch behavior. We could also see that in here, that if we take a look at the grid, this white space that you're seeing, this actually implies that these elements, they were stretched once. But now they no longer occupy or exhibit that trait. We could also say flex end to the end of the container. Now these are towards the end of the container. When you change the stretch and you override it, the next value will be applied. I'm also going to put it align items center. And now you know why we used align items those 2 times that I did. So start and center and then stretch. That's it for this lecture. See you in the next one.